Hi again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of RVBusiness Capitol Talk, sponsored by Excel. I'm Rick Kessler, and with me, as always, Sherman Goldenberg. And joining the two of us today in the black shirt brigade is Frank Tamburrini. Frank, of course, is the general manager at IDS. Frank, thank you very much for your time today.
No, thank you, and thank you for having me again. Always look forward to our conversations.
Go ahead, Sherman.
So we wanted to start out with a basic IDS 101 with you telling us what it is your company does. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, so IDS has been around for about 35 years, and essentially what we provide is dealer management software for every department within a dealership. So sales, service, parts, inventory, and accounting. So when you tie all those together into one integrated system, that is when a dealer gets the most benefit, the most efficiency from their operation.
And the whole idea behind that is to make data-driven decisions.
Exactly. Based on the information that you put in is the quality of the information that you're able to get out. And nowadays more than ever, making decisions based on that data, and not just what's in your system, but also what's happening in the macro environment becomes even more important.
Are you in markets beyond RV?
We're also in the marine industry. So there is some overlap with some uniqueness, but we find that our software can perform as well within both industries.
Well, you produce from this monthly reports, you say?
That's right.
For dealers who, what's the verb, subscribe to your service?
Actually, it's free for everybody in the industry. It's something that we decided to, a couple of years back, the RVDA and IDS worked together to develop the original REC reports. And that's really helped dealers get an insight look into what was happening in the repair event cycle times. And then from there, we thought, wouldn't it be great if dealers learned a little bit more about what's happening in their industry from a sales perspective? Now, that information used to be available through other channels, but we're kind of consolidating and making it easier for them to see on a monthly basis. And then from there, we thought, well, why don't we start adding some information about F&I information? Historically, pre-pandemic, I think most of the profit that would happen was actually in the F&I office. During the pandemic, I think margins were a little bit higher, and you had to rely less on F&I. Now that things have changed a little bit, more focus on making sure you're selling more products on top of that unit becomes even more critical. When we look at the numbers, based on what we saw, only 5 out of 10 RVs were sold with ancillary products. So there's a lot of potential upside there that could be leaving on the table. Which is kind of why we're talking today as well, because the latest edition that we added most recently is the top 5 products that are being ordered. So the way, and similar to our previous discussions, the way I see RECT and reporting is it's a tool. It's not going to actually solve the problem for you, but it helps you and your operations and your team ask the right questions. Why is this problem happening? Where is it happening? What can I actually do about those things? And so we kind of produce, here's the top 5 parts that got sold. Now, it might not be relevant for everybody because maybe they don't sell that specific part, or that they don't have that particular line, but it's really to inspire them to say, well, why don't I work with my DMS provider, regardless of which one I'm using, and figure out, well, which parts am I ordering most often, and should I make sure to have those in stock? Because we all know that if it's out of stock, the RECT is almost double, if not triple. It's impossible. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's obviously impossible to always have parts in stock, but the higher you improve that percentage that you do have it, the faster you're going to get people camping again, and that's kind of what we all want.
Go back, if you would, a half step. We refer to the acronym RECT as if we all know what it is. I think the three of us know what it is, but I'm not sure that the whole world is. This was something that really emerged as a national term what, a few years ago, right?
Yeah, I would say 2018, 2019.
And tell us in layman's terms what you're talking about.
Sure. So it's one of those terms that it simply means, when a customer needs to bring in their unit, they've dropped it off. And when they drop it off, that's when the timer goes on. And then when they're able to pick up that unit and get back to camping is essentially your repair event cycle time. And we've all brought our cars in for oil changes and repairs and maintenance, and we're probably picking it up that same day, the day after. If it's something more major, maybe a couple of days. But in the RV industry, especially for new buyers, it's almost something new for them that, wait, are you telling me I'm not going to get it back for 30 days? So that's why it became very important for our industry to really track it, find where those bottlenecks might be, and then really work as a team, regardless if you're a DMS provider, an OEM, a dealer, a parts distributor. How do we work together to really help so that we can shrink those cycle times?
It's become a national wave, a national mission, let's call it, for the industry to improve its service capabilities, right?
That's right.
So Frank, picking up on that, I'm gonna, and there's all kinds of data that we can dive into just from your most recent report. But let's before we go back into the repair event cycle time, here's some things that caught my eye on the sales side of it and the F&I side too. 282 reporting dealerships, which I think is important to note. Mm-hmm. The average sales price, $52,241. The average APR, 9.70%, which is crazy. And then the average terms as far as how long people are financing their purchase, 191 months, which is almost 16 years. To me, that's incredible numbers, incredible knowledge to have to compare what you're doing with the 281 other reporting dealerships.
That's right. And a lot of it is, sometimes the numbers themselves aren't necessarily good or bad. It's really, where do I stack up against maybe the industry? And then, what's more important to you to try to fix, and I always promote, pick one and see if you can move that number up, or if you want to move it down, figure out how do you move that number down.
So let's skip over then to, and I'm only getting into just a small amount of the data that you have on these reports. Otherwise, we'd be here for a few hours. So as far as wrecked, 40,000, just over 40,000 work orders. And then of that, 41% were under warranty. And those work orders that were repaired or that were completed under warranty were done in 45 days. And then here's where it gets stark. Out of stock parts, those work orders took 65 days, a full 20 days longer. That's what we're trying to illustrate here, right?
That's exactly it. When we looked at the reports and we started seeing, okay, what are the worst case scenarios? A lot of them, or most of them, were these out of stock parts. And if by the time you need the part and you need to order it, sometimes it's already too late. And again, you might not be able to keep them all in stock, but looking at the data, looking at it on a consistent basis also will tell you, okay, we have different seasons depending on where you are in the nation. So in Q1, you may only need 15 of these in stock, but when the busy season hits, you're going to need 40 of them to make sure. So really, this allows your team to really look at the numbers. How often do you order it? How often is it being used? So that you can better prepare with your ordering. You don't want to order too much. You don't want to. It's a little bit 50% art, 50% science. But at the very least, it gives you something to work against so that you have those parts in stock.
I have a question. It's so fundamental that it's probably naive, embarrassing, but that never stopped me, did it, Rick?
No such thing as a question like that.
Okay, so you're basing your reports on inputs from these 200 plus dealerships?
That's right.
Okay. What is the incentive for them to submit information to you?
So part of it is, we're all part of a community. I think we're all trying to solve certain industry challenges. So they gain insight to see how they rate or rank against other dealers in not only the nation, but also in their region, which is essentially their direct competitors. So we obviously don't have all the data for the entire industry, but we have enough of the larger accounts where you can, it's a good subsection where you can see how you rank and rate against those. The other part is our direct customers also get other advanced reports that we send them, so that might give them a little bit more in-depth knowledge on where they need to focus, where they need to spend their time to help, solve these challenges.
But so that these people submit this information and ultimately come out smarter. That's the game, right?
Exactly, and we try to make it very easy, where the dealer doesn't necessarily have to do anything. A lot of this information is made anonymous. The data
I would think.
gurus put it together and put it in a way where it's just raw data, and now you can get statistics out of it. And they could, if we could talk about it for days, they'd probably talk about it for months at a time, because they love that stuff. Gathering those insights and trying to find where should dealers spend their time and efforts.
So a guy who pardon me.
That's right.
So a guy who submits information automatically receives reports?
They automatically receive the reports every month. And the other good thing that we've heard over the last couple of years is the dealers are starting to use it as a tool to incent their teams.
Okay.
So if you're able to, based on what the report comes out, if you can reduce rect, or if they pick a different variable that they want to incent, then their compensation is based on, did they actually move the needle in those areas.
Interesting. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so it's really great to see rect and this whole report move from being just something that we send out every month and we hope people read, to people asking us, can you get it to us faster? So we went from 15 days to month end. Now we're sending it 5 days after month end, and then now they're using it as a tool in their business to actually create compensation programs and internal improvement initiatives within their dealership.
And the one thing that you've touched on it already, but that's the most ordered warranty parts. That was one of the recent additions to that report. Obviously that's important to me, because if these are the 5 most ordered parts, then I better make sure I have those 5 most ordered parts on hand. I noticed too in the most recent report, I mean, it's not just, refrigerator, it's, you get make, model, almost VIN number, serial number for each item. It's pretty specific. It's pretty in depth.
It is, and the way we see it is, it's got to be a work in progress. We're going to put the information out there, and then just like all the other reports and how we work with dealers, gather their feedback and see, what else do you want us to add to this? Is there anything? Is it too much information? Is it not enough? Should we be giving you the top 50, which would make the report really big, but we can do that as well. I think it's got to be in partnership with the industry and our dealers.
So we're headed in the right direction as an industry. This is helping move us in the right direction, no doubt about that.
It is, and I'm glad to see a lot of people have really embraced not just the report, but the repair event cycle time initiative as a whole. And we're starting to see the numbers come down, which is a good thing.
Well, that was my next question, is are we seeing that improvement reflected in the numbers you're seeing?
We are seeing improvements. We are, and I think that's why, once you start making things better in other areas, now it gives you opportunities to really focus on the areas where you really need the help. And that is, you really got to make sure that if it's a warranty part, and make sure it's in stock if it's one of those that keeps coming up over and over and over again.
Very good.
So I have a question before you, I know your habits close out here. What, so where are you going with the Airstream behind you? What's the game plan?
Well, I like to call that my home office. This is where I kind of hope I would be right now, but I'm actually sitting in my my home office at home behind a desk. But hopefully, hopefully this weekend that's where I'll be.
All
Won't be as
right.
nice place, but it'll be good enough.
So that's artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence at its best, yes.
Yeah. All right. All right.
Frank, want to thank you again. And if we don't see you beforehand, we'll see you out at the Convention Expo in Las Vegas.
That's right. I'll see you there.
Very good.
Frank.
Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Thanks,
Thanks
Sherman.
again, Frank.
Thanks, Rick.